Right, so it's Monday morning, the 12th of August, and Ben's just dropped me off this lovely little 90 that he was using in Morocco. It's a really nice one. They painted it over there and they had a lot of work done to it, but it's got a 2.5 naturally aspirated engine in, which goes really well. It's only been 12,000 or 15,000 miles, I think it was, or kilometers, since it was rebuilt. But what he wants to do is fit a 200 TDI to it. Now he's got a 200 TDI, which we're going to have a look at in a minute, but it's partially complete when I can get it splitted out. So he wants me to take it all to bits, and we'll go through it step by step, what we're going to do to that engine. He said the cylinders were good. We'll have a look at that. We don't know what the interior of the block's like, if it's full of crud, so we're going to probably take it all right down to the block, sandblast it and have a look and see. So it's going to be a nice little interesting project. Let's go and have a look at the motor. So this is the engine. It's complete apart from a couple of bits and bobs, but like I say, he said that the bolts aren't fastened down right. There's a couple of bolts snapped off, and he just wants me to go through it, which is nice because it's nice and clean, if you see what I mean, and we don't have to mess about with it. And he's got boxes and boxes of stuff that's in the container over there. Yeah, over there. So we're not really going to be needing a lot of parts, I don't think. Maybe gaskets and bits and bobs. But yeah, we're just going to go through it. And of course, he's got power steering on that 90. So we're going to put the power steering off that onto this. Should be nice. Now, at the same time, we're going to rebuild his LT230 transfer case. He's already got an ATB for it, the one for that box, but he wants to change the ratios to 1.410, if you want to be pedantic about it. He's got a 1.6 transfer box, and apparently that combination of a 2.5, 1.6 box in a 90 in Morocco was perfectly suited for the terrain. Well, over here it's a little bit slow, so we're going to do both. Now he's already got an R380 stumpy gearbox in there, so we don't want to touch that. So it leads me to a point which I was talking to Ben about, was to do the engine first, because this might take a little while, and then order the parts working off the gearbox number, because we know it's the original gearbox, and get the gear set according to the number of the gearbox. Now, I should mention that my door's going to slam in a minute. No, it's not. Call me a liar. There are two sets of gear teeth, and according to that number we should be able to work out which is which. So we can leave the transfer box in the car, we can leave the gearbox in the car, take the engine out, rebuild this one, put this engine in, and he wants a few other modifications doing to it, you know, to the engine bay, put some filters in, etc, etc. So we can do that and then drop the transfer case out. The reason for that is there's nothing to hold the gearbox in whilst we do any other jobs, so it makes sense really. So that's what we're going to do. So he's already brought down an engine stand here, which is nice. So we're going to get that lifted on, and then we're going to pull it to bits, see what's wrong with it. Now at the same time, for those of you wondering, I've got a bench over there full of Sunday sort out stuff. But the problem was I haven't actually got it videoed yet, because we lost all power from Friday night until yesterday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. So we had no lights, we had no power, we had no compressor, we had nothing. It's only just come back on. All they had to do was put a breaker back on. That's all it took them. It took them 2.5 days to do that. So I'll do that in another video, but this we'll do now. Right, so this is the next day, because I decided to scrub the video of taking this 200 TDI engine apart. It dragged on so long. I had a few nasty nuts and bolts to get out, and I started to put this together last night, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be like Coronation Street. It went on and on and on. So I'm just going to cut to the chase. So I stripped it all down, everything was okay. It's got liners in it and standard pistons, which is unusual. The crank was perfect. Ben, when he put it together out of bits and pieces, I think, and nothing was tightened down, but I had a hell of a struggle with one sump bolt that just would not come out, and I also found something else. But so I got the block right down to next to nothing, and when I started to take the frost plugs out, or the core plugs, which should be called core plugs, not frost plugs, these things, this was at the back. It was full of rust. And I mean, we can see there, it's like layers. That's how high up the rust was. Now I've got the block down here, I'll show you, it's down here. So I primed it, I sandblasted it in all the passages in here, and I've got right down to the bottom. So if you can see here, there was rusty water halfway up there. That was no good, you know, like silt. So I got it all out, but somebody's obviously rebuilt this one before. How do I know? Because there's a frost plug, there's a core plug. I don't know if you can see it against the background there. It's got holes in it. There, you maybe saw it there, like here. And this was jammed inside the block itself, so it's a good job we got into it. And they'd replaced it, and they'd gone rusty too. Kaput. So, there we have it. So this has been etch primed and painted with the VHT, very high temperature, engine paint, the same colour as it would be in the factory, so that's okay. But there is a couple of problems with the block, and I'm going to show you it right now. The reason why I was in a bit of a rush to get this done was we need to order some parts, and principally we need to order cam bushings because they were stuffed, which is one thing I didn't really want to do, because Claude down at the engine shop is going to do that, and I think they're on holiday. We'll see, but let me get my little camera light out and I'll show you. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be making much of an effort with this light, but inside this cam here it was all pretty knackered. It's got a bit of primer, overspray primer on it. One of the things was here, and well, maybe you can get my light in there and you can see inside there where I've blasted all the rust out. There's corrosion here, so we're going to fill that with JB Weld and then sand it down. Somebody's put a solid core plug in there, and I'm reluctant to take that out because I don't know what's behind it. It doesn't look like it's leaked, so that's one problem. The block was, like I say, it was very rusty, but you can see perhaps down there, I hope you can see, I've got right down to the bottom of the block, right down to the bottom, blasted it all out. So that means those cylinders now are going to run a lot cooler. They were running with nothing, no water around them. Perhaps that's why it had to have liners in it, overheated. Other problems, corrosion. Apart from here, here, a little bit here, a little bit there. So there's just some little tiny bits. So I'm just going to fill those with JB Weld, and we'll run the sander across the top. Yeah, the liners are good. They're really actually very good. So we'll JB Weld them up, and then we'll power wash it because we're going to get dust in it. But one of the other things was like here. You can see there's pits in here. They'd actually just put fill that up with silicone. So I'm going to take this and fill it with JB Weld and smooth it out and then sand it. The downside about JB Weld is it takes a couple of days, 24 hours to dry. Well, it's no big deal. But at least I can make a parts list because everything was standard piston, standard bearing, so we can do an order. But the biggest boogaloo was this one, and Ben did say there was a bolt snapped here. Well, not only is a bolt snapped there, I hope you can see there where the bolt's actually gone through here. It's gone through the bolt hole. There's the bolt, and it's gone through here, and then the bolt's gone down on the head bolt's gone down on top of it and bent it. So in actual fact, it's like a banana. That's going to be interesting to get out. Really interesting, but not impossible. it's looking good, it's salvageable. I've been going through all the other bits and pieces. Been through the bead blaster, got the pistons done. It's a bit of a mess, but like I say, we're going to make one mess and that's it, because like I said, when I took the plugs out, there was rust everywhere, but I think we can salvage it. So it's going to look good. I like that paint. It's really nice. Should stick well, especially when it's been primed. I think that's the tin. There's the tin there. That VHT. That was $36 for a tin of paint. Crazy, isn't it? Anyway, so far so good. I've got, like I say, a few more bits and pieces to clean up, and then we can put an order in for parts. But like I said, this afternoon it's going to be JB Weld. Anyway, I hope you like that. But I think the mainstay of this series on this engine is putting it together. All right, it's very much similar to a 300 TDI. There's nothing much difference with it. But that's it. So like, once I'm happy with all this slot, you know, filled in, because the JB Weld isn't fussed so much by antifreeze or coolant, so that's pretty good. And I've got you can see down here where I've got my light going through here. I took the plugs out of here and here, so when I power wash it, I use a very narrow jet, so I can get right in here, turn it upside down, wash all the oil ways out. Same with this one here, wash that one out. They all get nicely cleaned, and then we can start to box it up. Alright, so I hope you like that. I'm sorry I couldn't put the video together, but after 4 hours of editing I got a bit fed up with it. It's going to look good. See you later.